I found out my girlfriend shits in the shower. What do I do? Don't really know to get into this, but I'll start by laying out a few details. So I've been dating this girl for about 4 months now, and she's amazing, up until I found out about this. Like, seriously amazing. Both fallen hard for each other. I've met her family, and she's met my limited family, and it's been going great. She stays over a couple of times a week, and I love her company, and I'm very much in love with her. So finding out about this hit me quite hard, and I've felt really weird since... I don't want to get into too much detail because it's overall a pretty bizarre situation, but basically at the start of the week she was at my place, and we were chilling and caught up with the latest episode of The Mandalorian. Great TV show, BTW. And she goes off to take a shower, which is normal after a day of work. So I'm chilling in my room browsing Reddit and catching up with shit, and I need to take a piss. I go to the bathroom and walk into a room where I'm engulfed in the smell of shit, and also it's steamy as hell in there. I'm taken aback clearly and trying to make sense of it because the toilet lid is down, but the smell is so strong, so I ask my girlfriend if she's okay. She says she's great and she's nearly done, she's just trying to get rid of this. At this point, I'm horrified, and as I approach the shower curtain, it's a black curtain so I can't see crap, I kinda realize what she's done, and I pull back the curtain and she faces me to smile at me, and I look down and there's about half a crap clogging up the drain, and she's clearly been trying to stomp it down. I had a lot of emotions running through my head all at once. Horror, disgust, and surprisement, mainly at her reaction of me walking in on her trying to waffle stomp a crap down the drain, and I couldn't get my head around how cool and collected she was. I basically just said, "WTF are you doing?" and TBH her reply was more of surprise at my reaction of seeing what she was doing, as in she didn't see the big deal about it and didn't get why I was so horrified. It was super weird. I left the bathroom, obviously, and we had a talk about it, and she thought it was a normal thing to do. She needed a crap and just went for it. Apparently she was raised in a household where that was a normal thing to do, and I just couldn't comprehend it. After a while talking, she reassured me she didn't do it all the time, but just whenever she needed a crap while in the shower. I tried explaining that this was definitely not normal or a cool thing to do whatsoever, and she kind of flipped it back on me as if I was shaming her and got upset. Like I said, I love this girl, but this has properly rocked me and I don't know what to do. Sorry for poor grammar and formatting and how long this post is, but I had to get this off my chest, as I don't feel like telling anyone else and embarrassing her further. Commentaire. Well, sometimes you need to be told, and so you did. I was raised on spaghetti and ketchup. She was raised stomping craps down the tub drain. We'll explain to her how it is not sanitary for a multitude of reasons. Hopefully, she will listen. Story 2. Am I the asshole for getting hurt and upset over a harmless prank that my husband pulled? So me and my husband have been married for 5 years. We are currently F24 and M33. Way before we met, when I was 16, my mom's house had a house fire that burnt literally everything down, and sadly my childhood cat was also killed in it. I remember my mom and brother waking me up screaming, "Fire, fire, get up, get up!" We crawled out under the smoke, and luckily my neighbors had already called the fire department, and they pulled us out. We lost literally everything. We were devastated. So that was a while ago, but it still really scares me. And I check outlets and our stove and candles and everything all the time. My husband knows this about me. So 2 nights ago, I went to bed early because I am currently 34 weeks pregnant, literally about to pop. I was sleeping for a while before, for some reason, my husband decided to wake me up by yelling, "Baby, there's a fire! Fire, fire, fire! Get up!" As quick as I could get up at 34 weeks, I did, and grabbed my purse. I was just in automatic shock and just autopilot and knew I needed what to grab. I made it all the way down the stairs yelling for my husband to follow me, before he started laughing and telling me it was a joke. It took a minute for that to process. I stood there with an open mouth while he laughed and ushered me down the rest of the stairs. I sat down on the couch and just started sobbing. It was genuinely the hardest I've ever sobbed. It's like I couldn't get myself to stop and my whole body was shaking. My heart was racing and I couldn't breathe. I have never had this experience before. I was genuinely so panicked. I was so upset. My husband apologized and was like, "Oh my God, I'm sorry. It was just a joke." I just cried until he eventually was like, "What the hell, it was just a prank. This is really dramatic." After a few hours, I had calmed myself down and went to apologize to him. He wouldn't take it. He said I was being overdramatic and made him feel like crap for a harmless prank. So I guess Ada? I've never been good at taking jokes. I've been trying to be less sensitive, but IDK. Update. A month ago, I posted my first post, which is still up on my account. I was terrified and hurt and confused, and the comments really helped me sort through everything going on. A week later, I went into preterm labor and gave birth to my baby at 35 weeks. A week after that, my husband beat me unconscious when he caught me Googling the signs of an abusive marriage after he coerced me into sex a week postpartum. Today, I filed for divorce and secured a restraining order on him. My husband will never lay a hand on me or my baby ever again. I cannot confidently say that I would have made that decision without the help of my original post. So, thank you so very much. I think maybe people do not realize how much you can help a stranger on the internet. But you can, and all of you did. I will be the woman who leaves after the first time. I will be the best mother I can be, and that starts with leaving him. Story 3. My daughter just contacted me after 17 years asking if I want to meet my granddaughter. Am I the asshole for telling her that I don't care about her or her daughter and to never contact me again? I'm in my 60s now. I was married to my ex-wife and we had a daughter. Our marriage was going through its ups and downs, but I was really close with our daughter. But as our marriage was going through its difficulties, I made a huge mistake I still regret to this day. I started having an affair with my coworker. She was in a violent, physically abusive relationship at home. We became friends at work, and things just escalated from there. She got an out from me. She got the support she needed to file for divorce from her husband, who is currently in jail now. The affair went nowhere, and we called it off shortly after. But I was glad that she got off her abusive relationship and that she was safe. But when my ex-wife found out about the affair, things expectedly didn't go well. She lashed out and said a lot of horrible things about me to our daughter, who was 15 at the time. I admitted full fault with the affair, but even after the divorce, I sensed that the distance between me and my daughter was growing, until one day my daughter said she wasn't going to speak with me anymore, and she was going to cut me off from her life forever. That was the most painful thing anyone had ever said to me. I begged her to please reconsider. I still remember that day. But time passed on. My daughter kept her word, and after trying to connect with her for the first year, I gave up. I found out from one of my mutual friends that my ex-wife married a great guy. I was happy because I was hoping that would remove the hatred from my ex-wife, and my ex-wife would advise our daughter to at least rekindle a relationship with me. But that never happened. I moved states a year later. I am at peace now, but still have some aching sadness. I have retired. Both my parents have passed away. My brother passed away tragically a couple of years ago. To be honest, I am waiting for my turn. I have only my dog and my sister left. A couple of hours ago, my daughter called me on my phone. I haven't spoken to her in 17 years. I instantly recognized her voice, but I didn't feel anything. No happiness, no sadness, just indifference. She was crying a lot on the call, and we caught up on life. She's married, and she has a daughter who's now 12. She apologized for cutting off contact, and she says her mom asked her to reconnect with me as her mom felt guilty about how everything played out. She said she really wanted me to meet her daughter, and her daughter was constantly asking about granddaddy, but I wasn't feeling anything. After we caught up on everything in our life, I told her I don't care about her or her daughter and to never contact me again. I then hung up. Commente. I hate when adults make very bad adult decisions that affect their children and then blame the children when they respond in a very childlike manner. Your daughter was a teenager. That is a rough time for kids, even when their home life is stable. You gave her 1 whole year before you cut bait and gave up on her. Then you moved away. You told your daughter that she wasn't important enough to fight for, and she believed you. Now that she's an adult with a child of her own, she has reached out to you, and you again told her she wasn't important to you. She now knows she was probably right to cut you out the first time. Upate. Look, I was extremely drunk last night. The words which came out of my mouth weren't the best, and my comments on my post weren't great either. Seeing how everyone said I was the AH, I decided to call my daughter again an hour ago. I didn't really expect her to pick up the call, but she picked up immediately. I apologized for last night, and she said there was no need to apologize. I then sent her a link to this Reddit post on messages and told her I know I was the AH, and thousands said so. She again said I wasn't the AH. She started crying again. I told her she's free to come to my house anytime the next 4 months, because after that, I will be leaving the country with my sister and our dog. Our parents left us a nice farmhouse in their home country, and we will be spending the rest of our lives there. I sent her my address on messages, and my daughter said she'd come with her husband and her daughter by end of next week. She asked if she was welcome to stay there for multiple days, and I told her she could stay for however long she wanted, as our house was spacious enough. Am I the asshole for refusing to move out even though my roommate is 7 months pregnant? Hi guys. Last week my roommate Becca found out she is not only pregnant but 7 months along. She texted me that we had to talk today, and I had assumed she would be moving out soon for more space when the baby comes. Instead, she told me I have to move out to make space for the nursery and her baby daddy to move in. I'm on a terrible salary and cannot afford anywhere else to live. Plus, like, she wants me to move out right now so she can prepare for the baby. Even if I wanted to move out now, the apartment rentals in my area are either too expensive or well below living standards, so I don't want to move. She went absolutely crazy the moment I told her I wouldn't move out because I'm ruining her motherhood experience by not letting her family live together. I pay rent here and my name's on the lease until at least the end of the year. I'm not going to pull out of the lease, and I told her that if she wants her little family together that she should move and I'll find someone to half the cheap rent with. That made her start crying and saying how I just want to ruin her life, to the point her baby daddy had to console her and tell me to get out of their way already. I've not heard her stop crying since, but I think I'm totally valid that I don't want to leave. Aida for not wanting to move out? Commenter, NTA. This is a her problem, not a you problem. She wants the cheap rent for her and her BD. Your name is on the lease, you pay rent, she can't kick you out. However, be prepared for a very uncomfortable living situation from now on. Where does the BD live now? If she wants to move him in, he has a place already. Can she not move in with him? BD lives with his mom. It's been a bad roommate situation for years, but the rent is super cheap for where we live, so I've dealt with her. Honestly, I don't even know for sure if she actually is pregnant and just wants me out. Story 4. I'm leaving my BF because of a prenup. I'm 34F, breaking up with my boyfriend, 34M, because of a prenup. I've been with my boyfriend for about 2 years. Everything is going well and we love each other. We've been discussing marriage, and he mentioned he would not marry me without a prenup. We discussed this in detail, and I did not like what he proposed. His family owns a lot of property, land, and has lots of savings. After marriage, he wants me to move into one of the houses his parents own. I told him I'm uncomfortable building a life and a family in a house I have no ownership in, and he didn't understand. I told him I'd prefer to rent a place together, or we can live temporarily in one of his parents' houses and look at property together. But he refused. He said he liked the houses his parents and he already owned. He said he would not buy other property. He said he would not sell any of his property to buy one with me. He told me if I wanted to own property, I could save up money by living in one of these properties and invest in one myself. Problem is, he would be entitled to half if we divorce, since my purchase would happen after marriage. He told me I could pay his parents' rent if I feel like I don't belong on the property. He told me I could buy half of the house we live in from his parents. Problem is, I don't like the houses that him or his parents own. They also have a lot of stuff, and I feel like there's no space for me. I want to look at houses. I want to pick the place I live in, and I want to do it with my partner. I've made this clear to him over and over, but he won't budge. He earns more than me, and he has more assets than me for sure. He made it clear he was afraid I was a gold digger, and he wants to protect himself and his family's assets from me, which I can understand. This whole thing has made me feel very weird. This topic has come up before, and it has always made me feel very small. It makes me feel like all he cares about are his assets. It makes me feel like he wants me as long as I fit into the life he already built, and doesn't care to build one with me. It makes me feel like a gold digger. He has enough money to retire right now and live comfortably. I don't. He basically told me that whatever money he earns now, he can spend, so he won't be investing in too much anymore. He expects our earnings and our savings after marriage to be split, which I feel off about. I'm sure this is normal for some people. I'm sure other people would be happy to be with someone who was well off. I am not. I want someone beside me building a life with me, not someone who has built a life with his parents and wants me as long as I behave and fits into his life, which is how he's been making me feel. So I'm leaving him. I welcome opinions on this. But yeah, it's been too long that this has made me feel off about our relationship. I'm protecting my peace and leaving him with all his houses and money. TLDR. BF and I are talking about marriage. Boyfriend and his family are well off. He wants me to live in a house I don't own. Doesn't want to look at houses with me. Wants half of post-prenup assets. So I'm leaving. Added, no. He mentioned prenup very early, and I would keep asking him about the details, but he would keep it very vague and assure me we would work it out when the time came. I never asked him about his assets, and I never actually knew how much assets his family had. The only things I knew were from some of his one-off comments about certain assets, if he mentioned this tenant or that tenant, or this thing they have to repair, etc., etc. I had also initiated these conversations. He mentioned wanting to live with me and work towards marriage. I figured then that time had come. This is when I sat him down and asked him what he expected from me, what he wanted, and to clarify the conditions of any prenups he wanted to propose. He still tried to dodge my inquiry. It took so long for me to pull this information out of him. I guess I did wait 2 years. But marriage talks seemed like the right time to push him to discuss it. Update. So many things have happened. This is a bit of a rant, and I know I'm missing parts, but I'll try to cover the important bits. Before I start, here's some important context. I have a stable and rewarding career, and though I don't earn as much as him, I am very happy with what I can afford. My parents have always taught me that women should be independent, and I've taken that to heart. I live below my means, which has allowed me to put aside money for savings and investments. A lot of comments have mentioned that I should take the free rent, and that it would somehow set me forward in life. But for me, giving up my sense of autonomy and control over my home, my safe space, is not worth the potential savings. I lived with my parents and saved aggressively until I was 30, so I'm lucky enough to be in a position where I can comfortably afford rent or a mortgage by myself. Plus, he expected the living situation to be permanent. I would not move into a house owned by someone else just to save on rent. Would it be nice to save 2K a month? Sure, but most people pay rent. And I am not an exception. If I really wanted that, I could move back in with my parents. But again, autonomy is very important to me. Also, if he's this stubborn now, I don't see how this situation could be improved later after I already moved in. I could also counter the prenup and make it so all my accumulated assets stay mine, or put in a clause that I'll be compensated for any children we have, or put that I'd get alimony, or at least have a roof over my head in case we divorce. But for me, that feels overly transactional. It also gives me the vibes that I'm going to be living with a roommate who I sleep with and might have babies with, not a partner. I prefer to feel like we're in it together. He can keep what was his, but I want to build up what is ours. Also, if everything is completely split, it'll open up a new can of worms. How will our expenses be split if I'm working and he's just chilling? What happens when we have children? He has money saved for them, but will I get a say in how we spend that money? I know these can be worked out, but this is not the type of marriage I want. I can't predict everything that will happen, and I don't think I can capture it in a contract. And it's already been so heartbreaking for me, I don't want to go through more. Anyways, yada yada yada. I'll just say that it felt like I was being stripped of my autonomy, stonewalled, and treated like a hostel. Okay, on to updates. So I told him I needed to end this relationship. I appreciated and truly enjoyed my time with him, but our financial values and the preferred married lifestyle just don't match. It was a quick and easy conversation, TBH. I expected the breakup to be a bit of a process, not a one-and-done thing since our lives overlap a lot. I'm also in contact with a lot of his family, so OFC, during this whole time, a lot of them got involved. But blah blah, not super relevant to updates. Talk with his parents. Okay, I love his parents. I had a great relationship with them. I would go over to their house. We would have food, chat, watch TV. Sometimes I would go to the parties they host without my ex if he was busy. A few days after my talk with my ex, I went over to say goodbye. I didn't know if the prenup was family enforced or not, so I kept it very general and mainly focused on how the situation made me feel and what I was looking for in a relationship. His parents were shocked Pikachu face when I told them why I was leaving. I'm going to bullet point the rest. His parents really want grandbabies. However, X's younger brother and Sael do not want kids. They were so happy when I came into their lives and she found out I wanted kids. His parents had created their wealth together, with his dad being the major breadwinner for most of the relationship. His mom was shocked at what he was offering me, saying these aren't the values he was raised with. She had been effectively retired since almost 15 years ago, and she said X's dad never made her feel uncomfortable because of the difference in earning potential. They told me that they built their assets for themselves and their children. They said that includes Westcourt for their children decided to share their lives with. They have many properties. However, they also have enough investments that they can live off of those. They told me their plan was to sign over a house of our choosing as a wedding gift, or sell a house and give us cash so we could buy a house we both wanted. As they got older, they planned to evenly divide their properties between my ex and his brother, since they wouldn't want to manage the properties anymore and live off investments. Ex's mom said she would have made sure my name was on my ex's portion, especially since we were wanting kids. They mentioned investments will go directly into funds for grandkids after their passing. Maybe this is what my ex was referring to when he said his children would be set. Bit morbid though. Ex-mom told me that the mother of her grandbabies would be taken care of, and she wanted us to be on equal footing while raising a family. TBH, this conversation was kind of like a weight off my chest. I always loved his family and never felt excluded, but the prenup talks left me confused and hurt. What they said fit with what I knew from my ex and them before. I'd be lying if I said I didn't start imagining this life. I talked to my ex again. I'll bullet point this too. Basically, he told me his dad had joked before about how he hoped him and his brother would not find gold diggers, and that's where that comment came from. He felt responsibility to protect his parents' assets, since he didn't feel entitled to them, so by extension, I wasn't entitled either. In his culture, sons carry on the family line, so he felt he had to keep his assets in the family line, which I'm not part of, but any sons we had would be. Most of the assets he's worried about are under his parents' name, and he had never asked for their opinion on what to do. He just did what he thought he should be. He also said he isn't that well off, and that his assets shouldn't come between us. This is still confusing to me. Isn't this whole thing because he was well off and wanted to hold on to what he had and not create a shared lifestyle? I think maybe he meant he didn't own much and most things actually were under his parents' name. He felt he was punching above his weight with me and was scared I would leave him. He was afraid I was with him because of his finances, since that was the only thing he had more of, whereas he said I am intelligent, hardworking, beautiful, blah blah. He was scared about moving forward with the relationship, but instead of communicating, he became defensive. To me, It seems like he said and did things because he was feeling deeply insecure. He had made a couple passing comments before about me being more beautiful than him, or how I'm more hardworking, etc., but I had always taken them as compliments, not self-deprecating comments towards himself. He's such a caring, funny, and intelligent person, just in a different way than me. Also, I know he's not as confident as he comes across, but I had no idea that his insecurities ran this deep. He also apologized over and over about how he didn't mean to make me feel like an outsider to him and his parents, and insisted that he wanted to share a life with me. He said his insecurities and fear got the best of him, and he didn't handle it well. He had taken advantage of my patience and lashed out because he felt inadequate and scared. It broke my heart, because I think all this could have been avoided. We've been through this song and dance before many times where he would feel some sort of way, then act out as he's processing it. Until now, I always stay through it and we move on, but it's never gone on for so long. But I guess the issues we've faced before were smaller compared to mapping out our whole lives. I've pushed him to seek individual counseling, and we've attended couples counseling together, but I can't force him to sit and identify his emotions or employ the tools we were taught. The prenup conversation happened over a long period of time. He had so many chances to pump the brakes and reflect on what he was saying and simply just listen to me, but he didn't. He then sat in front of me saying that everything he said before was not what he meant. He said he would be happy to take care of me and our future kids. We could buy a house together or rent if I wanted to, because now he wasn't scared about creating a life together, completely opposite to everything he had been saying. But how unsettling is it that he seemed so completely comfortable and confident in the hurtful words he previously said, and was okay with placing me in a very unequal position in the relationship. Despite me continuously trying to articulate what I wanted and how he was making me feel, he didn't even consider my side over months. I know I have a good deal with what his parents are offering, and I know him, and I get along super well, but I'm not marrying his parents. I can't have his mom with us during every argument or life decision we take. Thinking back, I can count on one hand where we've run into issues, and he was able to address it without acting up. He's such a nice guy, but I can't be his garbage bin every time he needs to sort out his feelings. It's already worn me down. He's a grown man. He's intelligent and intuitive. He's had 2 years to learn how to communicate with me, and he's not. I honestly can't tell if what he said to me is genuine, or coming from his parents, or coming from a fear of losing me. I could give him the benefit of the doubt again and move forward with the relationship as I've done in the past, but I'm tired. I think this is a fixable problem, but I also have not seen any improvement since we started dating. If anything, this prolonged experience has made me feel it's gotten worse. I will not make the mistake of investing in a man because of what he could be, instead of who he is. If the last few months are a testament to how he handles stressful situations, I can only take things as they are and assume they won't change. This whole thing has left me sour. I don't need too much, but I do expect to be treated with love and support, even during times of disagreement. I cannot just forget the feelings and words I've felt and heard over the last couple of months. I can't just unhear and unknow that he is afraid I'm a gold digger. That was just one of many comments that really hurt me. I think life will have a lot more ups and downs, and I cannot imagine what kind of difficulties we'll face if this is how we communicate, even after identifying it and working on it in therapy. For these reasons, I'm still choosing to walk away. Very diff from leaving because of prenup, but it is leaving nonetheless. And TBH, this hurts more. I know it will hurt for a while, but I pray I'll be avoiding heartache and complications in the future. Who knows? If it was meant to be, maybe we'll find our way back. For now, I've told him and his family I need space and time. I know that it seems like I'm giving up a lot, but obviously there are things I can't put in a post. I actually wrote the above quite early, but I didn't post because it didn't feel like it was over. But now after this time I know it is. It's been tough, and it's only been a couple months, but I'm sure I made the right call. It's tough watching everyone coupled up and having children, but it is what it is. I'm proud of myself for leaving, and I'm slowly healing.